Yeah, we still have that.
I missed that. That was crazy. I was like, oh, whoa, what's happening? Where'd I go?
Got him. It's all funny because, obviously it cuts off our contact when that plays. So I just see you in the little window and you go.
That's amazing.
But we're back with episode number 105. Somehow, Evan, the podcast that's been running the longest, has less episodes than our newer one.
Like Michael Petit, the newer one? The newer one. The one that we started in 2021.
Or the other one. The horror one that's still in pre-production.
I forgot we were going to do that after what? Saw, right? That was like...
the Twitter is live. God damn
it. Yeah, we were going to do that for Saw. What's the next big horror movie coming out? We can start that up again. Ghostbusters.
Come
on. I guess A Quiet Place in June.
We can just talk random horror. We don't have to do that.
You don't have to go. Yeah, you're right. We don't have to coincide with anything. We can talk about like some of our classics, like The Thing.
Maybe I'll show you more Nightmare on Elm Streets.
More Nightmare on Elm Streets. Yeah, more Halloween movies, right? I think that was one of my... I don't know what to call it. One of my hopes or whatever.
You can get to one of the Halloween so that you can see. And introducing Paul Rudd.
That'll be fun. Yeah. Isn't that just Halloween 2?
6, I think.
6? I thought he was in the second movie. Never mind. Okay.
The second movie was like still like the 70s, I think. No way.
That's a good point. I don't know how old this guy is. Like holy grail level of doesn't age. So I don't know what's happening here. But we're here with the Bad Batch. We're back, and we've been prepping for this, Nathan, past couple of weeks now with the Asajj Ventress episodes of the Clone Wars. Even though she has not appeared yet in the Bad Batch.
Oh, you didn't see the end credit scene?
Oh, what? Wait, what?
Episode 3.
Yeah, sure. Nice try. Doesn't work on me.
I tried so hard. But then like the smile starts to creep up and it's like
you can't commit to
on my own weakness.
Yeah. So yeah, it was funny because I've been listening to interviews with Michelle Ong, who plays Omega, Dee Bradley Baker, who plays, of course, the clones. And she was not spoiling, but she said she's excited for the Asajj Ventress episodes because Omega reflects, how every season, one of the interviewers asked, like, how Omega kind of reflects, changes, and whatever to certain characters each season. Like, Sid, Fee kind of thing. And then one of the interviewers is like, what are you excited for Omega to do this season? Michelle mentioned how she's excited to see how Omega reflects off of Ventress and how those two work as a dynamic. Is going to be very fun to see. So I can't wait to see those episodes. And then we also watched the finale of the Bad Batch season 2. We watched like the Outpost and the final 3 episodes of this season. And they were fantastic, and they really led up to a very emotional conclusion. And we jump right into it in season 3 here. Not right into it because it's been a couple of weeks. And I've taken a lot of notes, Nathan, just up top. I loved these 3 episodes. Fantastic. I think it was very important that these 3 be dropped at once. I said the same thing when Andor happened. I think Andor dropped the first, was it 2 or 3?
3.
I think it was first 3. Okay. They got they really dropped the first 3 episodes for Andor. I thought it was just, anyway.
I think they announced it would be 3 when we got that trailer at Celebration.
You're right. Yeah. Which was a smart move because there's like 16 episodes, so they'll still hit that 12-week quota. But then I was blown away by Andor. I thought it was a perfect arc to establish what the show is off of those first 3 episodes, and I feel the same way with the first 3 episodes here, where we got incredible episodes from the Bad Batch here, and especially Omega's arc was very informative. The revelations about Sidious's plan. We introduced Project Necromancer into animation.
I knew it.
We first heard it in Mando season 3, the season that everybody loves. And then we get Hunter and Wrecker stuff. But what I specifically loved about these episodes was how unique in tone specifically tone. All three of them were. The first episode was very different in terms of how reflective and mournful it was. And then episode 2 was your classic Bad Batch horror episode. Every season has a Bad Batch horror episode. I was talking to Jalen about this, and I loved that episode. And then episode 3, your classic Bad Batch tension-filled, high-stakes, edge-of-your-seat episode, which we've come to love all the time. What were your thoughts here about the first 3 episodes?
Right off the bat, I think episode 1 of this season is maybe my favorite paced episode of the show.
It's geniusly paced.
Because I'm watching it and I'm like, damn, we're really just like sitting in the environment and just like feeling the gloom. Like I really dig this. And it didn't end. I was like ready to be like, all right, time for the wacky, like, boom, boom, like that soundtrack. And it's like, oh, a little droid running around. Shit. No, man, this might be like the most serious season we're gonna get. They're like, we only have one more season to go. We have these episodes. You're coming along for this.
Yeah, we hit the ground running, but not even running. We hit the ground walking and just sitting in Omega's like solemn state of affairs, basically. And it's not looking too great. She's not getting punished. She is a prisoner, but she's not like she's not under Professor Umbridge, right? But she still is a prisoner, and she's still without her family, and she's still imprisoned. And seeing her interact and struggle to maintain that sense of hope and survival within this compound of Mount Tantus was really awesome to watch. So I took a lot of notes. Let's dive into it here. We start off. I'm saying this without looking at my notes at all. But we start off with the clone troopers coming down in the ship, which already, again, hitting the ground running here with full-on horror tension. They crash land. It's like, Hemlock, buddy, can you evac? Hemlock's like, yeah, I can't hear you. And he kind of cuts them off as they die to a mysterious monster. Mysterious until we see episode 3 for sure.
Cool design.
Yeah, I love the design, the reveal and everything. That episode 1 and 3 worked so well together. 1, 2, and 3, because some people might call episode 2 like a filler, but 2 was. I haven't seen anybody say that, and I'm just I hate the internet, and you can never trust the internet. Yeah. So that was interesting. But yeah, I think 1 and 3 really connected in terms of like themes and in terms of like connections to what we see in the episode. Because something's out there. After like the perimeter that the Empire established on Tantus, the wildlife can be very dangerous. But we'll get into that with the Lurka metaphors. So then we start this process of Omega like going through the motions. I'm trying to think of an episode. I was taking notes here. I was like, what did this remind me of? Like seeing the character go through the same monotonous motions in an episode. It might like a Better Call Saul episode or something. I was
say Saul Goodman after being relocated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Every black and white scene.
Yeah, every black and white scene. Yeah. Go watch the final season of Better Call Saul, everybody, if you haven't yet, or just start the show in general. It's one of the best shows of all time.
Just remembering.
Yeah, I know, right? Somebody mentioned quickly on Twitter, like favorite, most well-written, whatever TV character. Somebody mentioned Saul Goodman. I'm like, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I think I do have it above Breaking Bad. I think I do.
I might have to now too. I haven't rewatched Breaking Bad, and there's some like Paramount episode of Breaking Bad that just have been seared into my brain.
I think what just
Better Call Saul is just
this is a side tangent, but I think what just makes me like Better Call Saul more is just because our protagonist is someone we root for, whereas Walter's like, all right, it's enough.
Yeah. Like, how do you compare? It's hard, but like the fact that we can compare Walter and Jesse, which is an all-time iconic duo, to Saul and Kim as an iconic duo says a lot about the show. Saul and Kim have such a emotional roller coaster of a dynamic that it's just hard to take your eyes away. But yeah, so again, the monotonous, repetitive process of Omega waken up by Emery. Hey, Omega, we have a lot of work to do today. To getting her blood taken, and this is interesting. Omega's blood is taken, but when she comes to Nalase, well, first of all, Omega asked Emery, "Hey, so what's this blood for?" It doesn't matter. You'll see later. I mean, she didn't even see that. She just says like, it's all part of the process. You're all good. It won't hurt.
She goes, like, it won't hurt. I'm like, it won't hurt.
I hear a doctor say that it won't hurt, and then shit. But then she goes to Nalase like chucks it in the trash, like don't tell anybody, basically. Yeah, don't say shit. And Mega's like, I won't say shit. So I love Nalase in these episodes, by the way. She was great. We didn't get to see most of her throughout season 2, but we do know basically throughout 1 and 2 that she cares deeply for Omega. And she will do anything to make sure Omega survives, and that continues this season. Nalase disposes of it, and she explains how the Empire. I think now she's talking to Hemlock, and she explains how the Empire is trying, Nathan, and failing to replicate. No, yeah, she's talking to Omega here. Trying and failing to replicate M-count transfers on specimens, and she includes the fact that they are not clone troopers. The specimens are not clone troopers. The blood being taken, of course, is from clone troopers. When I was talking about this with Jalen, in terms of science terms, you can see the clones as being like the control. If people know what that means, like the control part of the experiment, where you're like the consistent part of the experiment is the clones, while the thing that changes could be the specimens or the M counts. Because I think they're just testing things on the clones, on the blood of the clones, and trying to see like how the specimens can be altered to make sure that the M count transfer is successful. Because as we learn later on, the M count transfer is anything but successful so far.
Right.
Hemlock and
are midichlorians.
Yeah, M count is midichlorian. We even see. I like how Alex from Star Wars Explained posted a YouTube short saying how the M count transfer device is the exact same from the Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon gave Obi-Wan that M count of Anakin, and Obi-Wan's looking at it in the ship on Tatooine, and he's like, "Oh, M count's off the charts." He didn't talk like that.
Master Yoda doesn't have a midichlorian count that high.
Exactly. Man, I can't wait to watch that movie in theaters. It'll be my first time watching it. That's the only Star Wars movie I have not seen in theaters. The first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters was Attack of the Clones in 2002.
You got to see the OT in theaters?
Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't actually. Yeah. So I saw 2, 3, 2, 3, or the rest. I did not. Did I see the original trilogy? Have I not seen the original trilogy in theaters? Huh. I guess not.
Force Awakens marathon, man.
Why would I go to a stupid marathon where I'm going to be tired by the time I see the fucking Force Awakens? You could not pay me $1 million to do that. I would.
What? You're not going to drink some 5-hour energies like me?
No.
Not going to have a panic attack when I read the crawl? Dead ass hyperventilating when I read Luke Skywalker has vanished. I'm like, oh, it's real.
This crawl is different from the 7 ones I watched before.
Isn't it though?
It is. There was no chance in hell I was going to do that when I could just watch it the night before.
I'm going back. I went back that same weekend.
Yeah, I went a lot that week. Man, seeing that in theaters every time, unforgettable experience every time. Anyways, what were we talking about? So yeah, Phantom Menace is going to be amazing. But yeah, the M count stuff is the same thing that we see in Phantom Menace, so that remains consistent, at least on a display point of view. So that's already interesting. We'll talk about it more as we get more information from these episodes, but already that's very interesting in terms of like M counts. Immediately, everybody automatically thinks of Rise of Skywalker here with Project Necromancer, which is eventually revealed in episode 3. Episode 3 of these episodes, and it's very interesting. I'm like, oh shit, we're really doing this, because it's been remaining secret all throughout season 2 as soon as Hemlock was revealed and that he has a super secret project on Mount Tantus, people are like, clones. Because what else, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not. It's not going to be another Death Star.
A show about
Um,
clones and a secret facility. What could we be exploring?
exactly. A new swimming pool, Cusco style.
Survey says Ray's father.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
But we'll get into that because Ray's father is different from what Palpatine was doing. Or I could talk about it right now. But
I think he's along the trials, but he didn't have a midichlorian count.
yeah, I think Palpatine notoriously, people have questions about this. It's like, what took Palpatine so long to create a successful clone? Well, as we see here, it's hard to create a successful M count transfer. And I did not read the Rise of Skywalker novelization or the data books about this. So I'm getting all my stuff from Star Wars Explained again.
Mhm.
But he said how Palpatine had a bad time replicating clones of himself, just trying to basically just do clones of himself. Eventually, he gave up and decided to just create a normal clone with his DNA with a smaller midichlorian count, hence Rey's father. That's why he looked so different from Palpatine, and he wasn't exactly, and he was younger, etc. So that was kind of Palpatine doing something different, which gave birth to, of course, Rey and all that kind of stuff. And then I think right now he's just trying to be a point blank like clone of himself with a lot of midichlorians, which is why Omega is so important. So they can maintain midichlorian transfer between specimens because right now they're transferring, but they're getting degradation, which means they're losing midichlorians between transfers, which isn't good for Palpatine at this point in time.
Yeah.
Um,
Which would be interesting because obviously the whole point is a contingency so that if he's killed, like he was, he can come back. Though now I'm remembering in hindsight, he doesn't actually ever. I don't think he's ever successful. He never actually gets a new clone body. Like the one we see in Tross is just. I'm pretty sure it's his original body, just so decrepit, and they're just trying to revive it.
I think so.
I think.
Snoke, though.
I think Snoke is probably like where it could be headed, and is just like a stepping stone to what he truly wants, because that is a warped image of what he's trying to go for.
Yeah, Snoke is it's still so weird to me. And if people have more information, please leave it in the comments or now. But
If you have more information, if you were a loved one, call 1-800.
Yeah, please, because we need help. Because the whole Snoke point, I still don't understand it in terms of like Snoke seemed so independent of Palpatine, but he wasn't going against Palpatine or anything. I mean, Snoke's action from everything coincides with Palpatine's action, but it's just like it seems like such an individual character that it didn't seem like a clone of Palpatine, and it really wasn't until Episode 9. That's why
Yeah.
it seems so different.
Even episode 9, it's posed weird because then Palpatine's able to change his voice to
Yeah,
Ben. And
I'm
I'm like,
quite
what, are you puppeteering Snoke? Is Snoke his own entity that meets with you? Because they don't share scenes.
no, but I'm sure the answers are revealed somewhere, not here. But yeah, so what specimens are they though? I put this here as Hemlock and Alice go to a very high security vault. The question I posed at this point was, what specimens are they talking about here? Or do they just look like Palpatine, younger versions of Palpatine, or what specimens are they testing it out on? Because I couldn't understand from the dialogue that they were talking about. They're
Moff
testing
Gideon.
it. They're testing it. That'd be funny as hell. They're testing it on specimens, and these specimens are not retaining the M count transfer. So they're not testing it on clones. Specifically, Nalase said that. So when Nalase and Hemlock go to these tubes or whatever they're looking at, they're not looking at clones. So looking at specimens. Specimens have not been identified yet. Are they looking at clones of Palpatine? Is Palpatine willingly sharing blood of his own blood with these people? I don't know.
I mean,
Would
the
he do
facility.
that?
I mean, the facility that they're kept in is heavily guarded by so many different layers of lasers and security. I could
Yeah.
see probably, because I imagine any and all DNA of Palpatine that he might have shared is all within that storage unit. Like everything from the labs within the facility all converge to that secure point, not vice versa.
That's a good point. Yeah, keep it super secret, locked down, so that nobody besides like 2 people know about it. So yeah, we'll see. I'm very curious. Like, are we going to see? We have to see these specimens by the end of the season. I'm just curious what they look like at this point in the stage.
I guess another question to pose is because obviously, and it's jumping a bit ahead to episode 3, but when Palpatine's inspecting them and he's insistent that this is important to the future of the Empire, and so much so that he gives Hemlock almost all creative control, like a blank check to do whatever he needs.
Carte blanche.
Sure. Well, so it kind of poses a question: is it just to make one successful iteration of Palpatine to be a part of, or is Palpatine going for multiple at once? I don't know.
Great question.
Is it the next evolution of an empire? Who's to say?
From my opinion, I think just create one, just as a version, and the clones are again just trial experiments until they create the one.
That's right. Because I mean, you don't want uprisings.
But it's interesting, similar to what we've been talking about with the Bad Batch in general. We know the Bad Batch ends in failure in terms of like clones. Clones eventually do die off. Clones eventually do.
They all live on Pabu. What are you talking about?
Or they could just live on Pabu. We don't know that full answer yet. But we do know what fails is Sidious's plan. We all saw Trust. We all saw the sequel trilogy. We know that plan fails. Omega's blood is key to this success. So the story that we're watching now is going to be how is Bad Batch successful in saving Omega from this. And the Bad Batch had just turned into such a pivotal series in terms of saving the galaxy. They go from saving the girl to saving the galaxy. I'll talk more about this at the end of the discussion here, but I love how the Bad Batch is coinciding with just a small matter that can eventually end up saving the entire galaxy for years to come. That's what I love about Star Wars in general, how small stories end up impacting the galaxy at large. Even though they're unaware. Right now, Hunter just wants his kid back. Wrecker just wants his kid back. But that process of just saving your family is going to end up saving the galaxy for years to come. It's so beautiful. It's so crazy.
A little boy wins a street race and the Republic falls.
Exactly. Or in Rebels, especially like season 4 finale, Ezra wants to save his home. The crew wants to save their home of Lothal. That ends up coinciding with putting Thrawn out of commission for decades at a time, which eventually stalls the destructive power of the Empire until we get to the Mandalorian timeline. Mm-hmm. So it's like these small victories end up impacting installing like the bad outcomes of the future. It's crazy. Yeah. So Omega eventually continuing on with the routine starts connecting with Batcher. And we've had this, we come into the middle of their, exchange. I think at this point in episode 1, when she connects with Batcher, she already has a name for this Lurka. So we kind of assume since she's been dropped off here that she's been establishing a connection with this Lurka. She already has named it Batcher, and she's just defending it because it's different. Very similar to how the Bad Batch and Clone Force 99 are different from the other clones, and people are connected with those that are similar to them. So I like this connection, and Batcher really becomes quickly this metaphor and symbol of what the Bad Batch are in terms of hope, survival, and persisting, even though they're unlike the rest. I really liked this use of the Lorca Hound here, Batcher.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, I gotta say, effing the music.
Oh, Kevin Kiner, the Kiners in general, really blew it out of the park here. Fantastic.
Beautiful. It's haunting.
It's so haunting. Yeah.
It fills my brain with all the serotonin.
That reminds me about the haunting nature of this episode. Episode 1 and 3 are the ones that use the wheel as a ticking clock. right? Not just episode 3. It's episode 1 uses it too.
Episode 1 establishes the
clock.
and you're watching, you're like, why are we establishing so much on this? And when we get to episode 3, you're like, oh, I see. Fuck, it's in there.
It's so good. It's so smart. It's not a clock. It's a centrifuge kind of wheel here. Blood centrifuge wheel. And it was genius. We talked about the pacing and the editing of episode 1 here, and it really goes into how this like everything is the same as she goes through her routine. The wheel continues like a ticking clock. We don't know what it's leading up to yet, but we just know that her days are becoming very much the same. And it was so cool here.
Speaking of days, I was just taking note. Like, we see Omega's been there a while. Her hair's growing out. I was trying to do a quick math count on like the etches she did on the wall.
I did too. Yeah,
I got an estimate about 6 months.
Me too. Yeah, I wrote it down here. Time jump, hair, ponytail, and 3 weeks turns to half a year, which is exhausting. Being without your family for half a year.
It's a lot of time for Tech to heal.
It is. Yeah, we do see a clone. We'll talk about it later on.
Even episode 2, like they right in the foreground just to fuck with me. They put his goggles on the
there
on the dash. I'm like, you can't trick me. he's coming back.
I don't know. It's so hard. I think he's gone. I'm content with him just being gone.
No,
and it's sad, but it's sad.
No, and I'll tell you why is because we already got the prison break, which I thought was going to take longer.
Me too.
So now I think they need a bigger reveal later, and it's going to be Tech made it.
You don't think Asajj Ventress is a bigger reveal?
That's in the trailer. You know what's not in the trailer? Right. Tech's return.
Tech's return. Yeah. Okay.
All speculation.
Yeah, all speculation.
No leaks here for Star Wars projects.
No, not at all. But yeah, before the time jump, by the way, she met with Crosshair, who's very dismissive of her. Just like stop with this hope shit, basically. Also, when he gets up, but like sits
stop
up.
With his hope shit. What is this, Star Wars?
What is it, Star Wars? But he has a tremor in his hand as he sits up, starts talking to Omega, basically like, just forget about me, forget about Batcher. He has a little small tremor in his hand, which is more pronounced in episode 3, but it's very interesting.
I didn't pick up on that right away.
Okay.
So when I saw him like caress his hands, I thought he was just feeling sentimental and sad.
He saw his lotion.
I felt sad for him.
Yeah.
I was like, my poor boy's so alone.
What makes it so interesting that we don't get it word from this, but having watched like again the Outpost in the final episodes of the Clone Wars, again watch our commentary, it was great. I'm getting the sense that I like where Crosshair's arc is. He's not, again, I mentioned this on our commentaries, but I like how he's not immediately like, hoorah, let's go, Clone Force 99, let's do this. Family. Like, he's dismissive of Omega. He doesn't even look at her when he's going through the hallway. And I think he feels rejected by both the Empire already because he knows how the Empire treated him, but also his friends. He kind of did this to himself, of course, in terms of not talking to his friends, not going back to his friends. But even he was the one who said, like, you abandoned me in the season 1 finale. You didn't even try to come back from me. And then in season 2, he continues to go against them. And finally, when he's out of the Empire's grasp, I think he feels like, man, I was against them. They probably don't even care about me anymore. So I don't have my friends on my side. I don't have the Empire on my side. So I'm just going to live this small, rejected life of monotonous solitude. But Omega is still that beacon light, how she always is. So I think she's like slowly carving out that dark hole exactly in Crosshair's heart here, which is very sweet. Because, you know, it's hard to resist Omega. Also, the straw that she collected throughout her time with Batcher, I thought she was going to use it to, like, escape or, like, you know, make a small thing. But she ends up creating a doll before the time jump as well. And that doll persists throughout the time jump as well. As it could be cut after the time jump with her ponytail. And she puts the doll, like, she keeps it in a room or something like that. which is again a small sign that Omega is still just a child. She's doing all this like work and stuff like that and trying to escape, but she still is just a child who always looks out the window, is always looking for an escape route. It was so sweet. And then we cut to her just doing her routine again. Batcher's review would be getting softer with Omega when she calls her his name this time, or Batcher's name. I don't know what kind of gender it is. When she calls Batcher's name again, like it comes to the fence. It's not like immediately aggressive as it was in the first part of the montage.
Domesticated, they say.
Yeah, domesticated. So it's getting softer and it's accepting her food. But then the matter of Omega saving this pet again is also just reminding us how she was with the clones in season 2. When she opened her eyes to how the clones were being treated with the Senate hearing and Senator Tucci, right? Omega quickly became like defensive and supportive of what was happening with the clones, not just with her clone Force 99, but all clones throughout the galaxy. And I think again that Batcher kind of is this interesting symbol of what the clones represent. We'll get to it later on with what Hemlock says. But it's just very interesting. I like that she's always continuing to try and save people, things in general that need saving and that are similar to her or just are being subjugated and left behind by the Empire. And the clones represent that. Batcher represents that. So it's very cool, very interesting. And then she goes back to Crosshair. Crosshair again wants to be left alone. And he tells an interesting line that I loved. He's like, man, if you were left behind, I wouldn't waste a second coming back to save you. I'm like, okay, buddy.
I'm like, all right, bullshit.
The bullshit meter is rising. So it was just very cool just seeing. By the way, I like the second half of the episode because it's after the time jump and we're getting the same routine except different actions from each of the characters, from Emery, from Crosshair, from Batcher. It's very interesting. And again, I have in my notes here, but it's just basically what I just said again. He's being forgotten by both his friends and the Empire. That's why he's so like aggressive and he feels like he should be punished. Like he feels like this is his penance for everything he's done so far. And it's really not. And I like that Omega is continuing to say this. And Hemlock says, and I'll say, the M count process has unfortunately diminished in their latest transfer. From the specimen to specimen, the M counts have diminished, but they are making progress, and the Emperor is coming. And now I say is like, oh, okay, interesting.
The Emperor's coming here.
Here? And then we cut back, and the next day, Batcher is being called to be terminated, and this is when the episode heats up here as Omega quickly was like, wait, why? And the droid's like, I don't know, shit. You domesticated it, basically, like we said.
You made it soft.
Yeah, you made it soft. So Omega commits to saving it, quickly smashes the droid. That poor droid. Not poor droid. The droid wasn't doing shit anyways.
Droid didn't seem to have a lot of free will to begin with.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Free program. Personality, it's fine.
Exactly, it's fine. So
Hemlock, all the battle droids who cry out.
I know. Like, what do you mean? Hemlock witnesses this, and this is very fascinating. This is why I love Hemlock. Hemlock continues to be such a great antagonist. We don't know much about him, with his past, where the fuck he was born at. I don't give a shit. I love his interactions with the clones and with Omega here.
You know, he's very precise, but you also know he's fucking psychopath.
He's a psychopath. How could we forget? Again, watch your commentary. He breathed in his own toxins because he has an immunity to it. Like, what the fuck? He's weird.
In his spare time, he's like,
yeah, let me just breathe in toxins. And
also disturbing experiments on live subjects.
Exactly, he doesn't care. And he states how Omega is committing this Lurka hound to die in the wild because after this point, Omega has saved it, and then the Batcher runs away. And Hemlock's basically like, you domesticated it, and you sealed its fate. How is our fate of killing it different from what you've done by setting it out in the wild? Basically, what makes you so different? Oh, that's my ad. And
every time you do,
I gotta do it.
The
And
Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away, motherfucker.
and I love this line from Hemlock. It really coincides with his personality and his character trait of just like sticking to the rules, authority, and how what the Empire is doing is just, and how anything if you try and go against it, you're kind of sealing your fate. He's very strict on the ideas of fate and how you can't really change that concept of destiny, fate, etc. I think at least. And Omega disagrees, and she says how I allowed it to have a chance to survive and live on, basically. And extending on what Omega was saying here, I think she's talking about like giving it a chance to live and having that sense of freedom that it deserves to have. Again, exactly. This goes along with the clone. Just like Batcher was bred to be a hunter hound lurka that tracks and devours things. Batcher was different. It wasn't super aggressive like the other hounds, like the other lurkas. Just like how Clone Force 99 was different from the other clones. These clones were bred for one thing: war and violence, to be soldiers. But what we've learned from the Bad Batch throughout season 1 and 2 is evolving that concept of being soldiers to being a found family. And how the Batcher is also similar to that. Instead of being aggressive, it's become domesticated, become an ally to Omega, and how it now has a chance to live and get that freedom. Just like in season 2, how we learned how the Bad Batch and clones in general deserve to have that sense of freedom, a la Pabu. Just an escape, right? An escape in another scenario, another chance to live outside of their core parameters, their initial programming, one could say. And of course, Hemlock totally disagrees with that and just wants, his own science experiments, basically. Yeah. So this was just a beautiful symbolism, great near conclusion to the episode. And then Emery, who has taken the doll, we skipped over it, but Emery took the doll during a routine check. At the end of this episode, Emery returns the doll as Omega is sad after her ordeal with Hemlock in the pens. And I'm very curious about this. Just the concept of Emery returning the doll to her after taking it away and seeing Omega's reaction. Mm-hmm. What is Emery's arc going to be? Emery is a new, throughout season 2, I was like, what is Crosshair going to do? When is Crosshair going to change? And then finally we got to the Outpost episode when Crosshair changed. This season, Emery is my new Crosshair. I'm going to be tracking every dialogue, every eye shift from Emery. When are you going to change, Emery? When are you going to reveal, or when are we going to see your inner motivations here, your inner connections? Like, she is so warped by what Hemlock has done to her. I forget when it was revealed to us. Maybe it was season 2 or season 3. I think it was season 2 when she reveals how she or maybe it was this season. Anyways, she reveals to Omega that Omega's like, how come I never really saw you? I never knew I had a sister or clone. And Emery was like, well, I was made away from the facility. Hemlock found me, figured out I could be used a much bigger service, and I've been with him ever since, something like that. And I think she has this loyalty to Hemlock, misguided, obviously, but now she has a connection with a clone, somebody that she hasn't been close. I mean, she's been around clones. She's been testing on them for who knows how long. Yeah. But now she has connection with Omega. We've always talked about this. If you're connecting with Omega, she's eventually going to crack through the surface or whatever you have going on here and get to what's truly inside of you. And I'm very curious to see how Emery changes from Omega, because again, just the action of returning this doll could just be a sliver of heart within Emery that we haven't seen yet.
Even in the 3rd episode, when the escape happens, they're like, all right, go kill him. Hemlock's kill him. And Emery's like, well, hold on. Maybe I could go.
Don't be rash.
Don't be rash. Gets shut down immediately. And she's like, I'll go back to the lab. But, just these tiny bits are like, help us.
What's going on here? Even season 2, right? Like when they're testing on Crosshair for the first time, in I think the episode is called Testing Point, Turning Point, and she loosens the straps, and we all like, oh, is she trying to make Crosshair escape? And no, she was just like, making him more comfortable. But it's just those small slivers of humanity inside of Emery. Um, I'm very curious to see what's going on there with Emery. I'm so excited.
There's a sense that like she will continue to tell you that you should just follow with the Empire, but she's not like an active fighter against your rebellion.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Like she would stand up and be like, you're going the wrong way, or you're not supposed to do this. But she's also just like, committed to her actions as well. It's very interesting. I'm very curious to see what eventually happens, because again, this is Star Wars. The Bad Batch are going to be successful. I hope so. Or we could be in for a bittersweet finale. I'm not sure.
Don't make me attached for 3 seasons of a show I didn't know I wanted, and then just got me.
I want a bright future for Omega. I want to be able to be like, well, we could see her in comics or whatever. Like, I want her to have an open ending, basically, where I want Omega to survive, and I think she is. She's a kid. But like, I don't want Omega to be just like sacrifice or anything. I hate that word. So I know
sacrifice. Omega.
I know.
The fuck?
Because I feel like we'll get to in episode 3, but I feel like she's gonna realize the weight that is now on her shoulders more so than ever when it's revealed to her about why she is so important. But anyways, the episode ends beautifully, poetically, powerfully, with Batcher howling in the distance, making it kind of that sign of hope and survival that Omega was touting against Hemlocks. Which again kind of concludes the episode that there always will be hope and survival for the clones. We jump into episode 2, which is titled, I don't know, I didn't put the title in here. My bad.
Yeah.
I thought you had it.
Hey, maybe I do. You don't know.
You don't.
I might.
It's fine.
Ask me.
What's the title?
Say please.
Please. Oh, please.
I'd love to tell you.
Bitch!
I'm so dumb. I thought it would come to me and it didn't. What was that? What was the fucking? What was the fucking?
What is it? 2008.
Hey, how old do you think I am?
2. No, I always call my 6th graders. I'm like, you guys are acting like 5-year-olds every day. I'm like 5-year-olds, 3rd graders. Like, this is ridiculous. Anyways, episode 2, the horde episode, I like to call it. We see Roland from season 1.
Go on.
We see Roland from episode 1 with the guy with the missing horn.
Yeah.
I thought he was from season 2. Jalen was like, who is he again? I'm like, oh, he was the guy that got his horn cut off. He was in last season.
That wasn't season 2?
That wasn't season 2. That was season 1, apparently. It might be season 2. But Star Wars explained that it was season 1. But I didn't double check it.
Omega saved his pet.
Omega, yeah, exactly. Omega saved his pet. It's funny how we remember things after only seeing it once. But he's working with
I saw him come out with the missing horn. I'm like, yeah,
I remember that guy. But he's working with his mother, Asa, in the Duran Syndicate. I thought it was like the Black Sun Syndicate, but they're literally just called their last name, space, Syndicate. The Roland and Issa Duran, they work for the Duran Syndicate. Issa's in charge. They kill somebody, but in comes the Bad Batch, Hunter and Wrecker, just a squad of 2 now.
It really didn't hit me until after they left and they were flying by themselves. I'm like, fucking A, it really is just them 2 left.
I thought Echo would have stayed around after the finale. I think we even talked about it. Like, is Echo going to stick around with them? And he doesn't. He seems to have gone back with the Rex. That's his ideal. But anyways, they turn into Pike Dude that apparently removed his horn. They even give him like the horn piece back in season 1. Oh, I have it in my notes here. The episode was called Infested. In exchange, they get the location of the recent Hemlock laboratory. Information exchange is how they do it. They get back to their ship. And like Nathan says and said earlier on, it's very ominous and solemn here as Hunter's in Tex's chair, and he's putting in the data, something that Tech usually would have done, and we get Tech's glasses. Tech's glasses and goggles are right there. Omega's toy is right there. Oof, 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 oof.
Where I go, I see his face.
We really do. I love there's a small touch of just seeing the paraphernalia of all these characters that we've come to love. Omega's goggles, or Tech's goggles, Omega's toy is all right there. And what I loved here is how Wrecker has now become like the beating heart of the crew. He always was the beating heart of the crew. But what I liked here was that Hunter said, okay, we got the location of the laboratory. Let's go. We don't need to wait for Rex and Rex and Echo.
Yeah.
And Wrecker has to be the one to be like, hey, yo, hold up, don't be rash. And Hunter's like, Omega's been waiting for so long. We have failed her, basically. We have failed this city, and we have to go rescue her. And yeah,
I love when Star Wars is prisoners.
It's great. Where is she? Where is she?
Looking for my clone daughter. I think that is his best performance, man.
I think it is. It's, arguing between that and Logan is so hard. And Greatest Showman too. Just kidding. Never saw it.
Pretty good.
I heard it's pretty good. It has Rebecca Ferguson and Zendaya in it too, and Zach. So I should really watch it. I got inundated with that Greatest Showman trailer. I was like, I'm not seeing the movie. The trailer was played in front of every movie theater.
I don't think I actually got the trailer. I didn't
really for the Greatest Showman.
Yeah, somehow
it was playing everywhere. If I heard like "This Is Me" all over again, I'm tired of it.
No, I never spotted it. Not till I like.
Did you not go to the theater in 2017?
I did. I remember March.
Wow.
But also,
this would have been playing in the fall, buddy.
What the fuck came out around that time? Fuck, it was 2017. So Star Wars, TLJ Fever.
What came out in that November era? Was that
Murder on the Orient Express. I saw that.
Oh wow, that's a good pull. I don't know what was 2017 fall. I can't remember either. Anyways,
I ended up seeing it on the Redbox.
Redbox? What are you, 50?
I guess. Look, I like movie rentals. I don't know.
Pre-streaming services.
Not even streaming. Fuck, I picked up that DVD on the corner of my Walgreens.
Hey, I said pre-streaming. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But anyways, the Duran intelligence turns out to be outdated as they get to the facility in this jungle planet, and it's destroyed basically. Orbital bombardment.
Bombardment. Yes.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Today's a vocabulary word is.
Shut up.
Please use it 2 times in your essay.
Oh yeah.
What have I become? What will you become?
And then they meet 2 clones here, Deke and Stack. Apparently these clones were from Camino in season 1 of the Bad Batch. They were among a group of people who were getting escorted out of the facility during the evacuations prior to the bombardment. There we go. Of Camino. Unfortunately for them, they had a whole crew in that time in season 1. We get to season 3 now, and it's just 3 of them. A lot of kids died apparently during this time.
Wow,
so dark. I know. And then they meet. What is it? You said what is the Amblin?
No, like what is Andor? Dark as hell.
Oh, Andor. Exactly. We meet these things called slither vines. James Gunn. Slither vines have been running around recently.
You haven't seen Slither yet, right?
Not at all.
Okay.
Have you?
Forever ago. I need to actually like.
So you didn't
see it. I saw it in the middle of the night on fucking, I don't know, Spike TV or something.
They did the throwbacks today. Redbox,
channel,
Spike TV. What's going on?
Spike TV was like always like going to watch Star Wars.
Star Wars was always on Spike TV. Loved it.
But it was always cropped.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I didn't like that.
What the fuck is the
Even to
THQ logo over this ship?
my DVDs I have of Star Wars, the 2000 old special editions are full screen.
Damn.
Which is like throwback. I love it because I've always watched it on full screen, at least pre like Disney Plus or whatever.
I can't believe we gave the options of full screen, the wide screen. It's disgusting.
Disgusting. And I used to hate widescreen. When I was a kid, I was like, I need to see full screen. I need to see it all. But now I was like, why did I ever choose full screen? Widescreen is where it's at. Because when I was a kid, I hated the bars. I was like, I just want to watch the whole movie.
We didn't understand letterbox.
I didn't understand. Yeah, not at all. I didn't understand the 3x4 by whatever bullshit people say these days.
Every fucking monitor used to just be a square. That's why we were like, we're missing something.
Exactly. So yeah, we get there. So the vines are running around the base. I got big Jurassic Park 3 energy from this episode, by the way. The way that the crew comes into an unnamed jungle, they're saved by kids, and the kids are more familiar with the technology and the way of the land more than these adults. It reminded me of how Ben, there we go. That was good. How Ben was more familiar with the place than Alan.
Well,
that's a bad idea.
Let me tell you, this episode gave me Alien vibes when they were on the ship. Specifically when like the creatures got into like small creepy crawlies and fucking jump. There was a shot of them jumping at you. You saw some teeth.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I didn't see teeth. Did you saw teeth?
I saw fucking teeth, dude. Or maybe they're thorns, but like they're teeth now.
Shit. Yeah, this was so interesting. This is what made this episode so much fun. It reminded me of people have watched or played the Dead Space games. Just going into like an old facility full of like alien creatures, and you're like, oh shit. We get to a point where Mox. Oh, by the way, meet Mox. Mox is their leader. He's working with them, and Deke, one of the younger kids who previously rescued them, agrees to help with them. Go to the lab. Why go to the lab? Because the lab hopefully has a monitor that they recently figured out, or not monitor, but just a system they recently figured out could track where Hemlock and them escaped to. So they get there. That's when they meet the creepy crawlers and the slither vines evolving into, like Nathan said, those walking vines. But what's interesting is that later on in the episode, fast forwarding a little bit here, but we get the Sarlacc pit thing. And I'm like, was this a part of the Sarlacc? Like, Hemlock, what the fuck were you doing in this place? This seems crazy as hell. It kind of reminded me of how, like, they wanted to clone the Zelo Beast. And I'll bring this up again in episode 3, but they wanted to clone the Zelo Beast and how they could have just been practicing on, like, these wildlife creatures in terms of clones. The wildlife cloning process in this jungle planet just for early tests. And it fucked up. They got these slither vines and they just blew up the place because of all the Sarlacc pit vine monster thingies. It was crazy. And I mentioned Dead Space because there's a point where Deke's like, I'm on the computer here. Defend me while I look up the data. And it's like one of those video game levels where you have to turn around, defend somebody, the clock on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Yeah. You're like, defend somebody while you kill the monsters.
This whole episode felt like the most like claustrophobic, anxiety-riddled video game level.
Yeah.
AKA me fighting the fucking crawlers in Uncharted 1.
Oh god, yeah, when you're like in the whole
fuck that, when I'm in the back corner at the bottom of the ship or wherever, and like they just keep like they're gonna come. Yeah, fuck. And then you gotta find just the right spot to run to the next point, but they'll get you. They keep getting me, Evan.
It's great. And then like I hate because the controls in that are so like finicky. You throw a grenade, but you don't know if it hits them, and the grenade goes like in the total opposite direction. Like the grenade throw-in mechanic was like finally mastered in Uncharted 2, but Uncharted 1, you couldn't be very precise with it. It was like always arced.
There's no worse time than for me to practice trial and error than playing a level like this at like 2 a.m. and it's dark in my room.
That's amazing. Yeah, that level was, man. That level was horrifying. Yeah, but I love it. So yeah, they eventually get to the data, and the slither vines evolve into like I said, the Sarlacc pit kind of thing, and they're surrounded. But then Mox and what's the name, Mox and Stack, who have stolen the Havoc Marauder. I'm like, if these kids leave, of course they don't leave, but they steal the Havoc Marauder. They're like, you know what? We hated, and this is one of the most important parts of the episodes. They hated how the older clones left them behind. The older clones left them behind, and they feel betrayed by the other clones. But these Bad Batch, they realize, are different, as Deke was with them, and they stay to defend their friend. So they're like, let's go save them. Eventually, the Mox and Stack go back to save the crew in a great escape sequence here. And they just pound it with like thermal detonators, which was, I love the sound design, by the way. The Bad Batch has a great sound work. David W. Collins is great on the sound team here. And it's just great work with the thermal detonators and other stuff here. And then another point, the kids are going to get dropped off on Pabu, which is great. They don't say Pabu, but they said, we'll drop you off somewhere safe. We know that's going to be Pabu. And then Hunter reveals to them, not revealed, but just tells them, like, you know, you guys can be more than soldiers, which made this episode more fitting thematically, connecting it to episodes 1 and 3 here. How, again, Batcher could be more than just a hunting dog, a hunting lurker. Omega could be more than like the prisoner and Crosshair, more than the prisoners that they currently are. And then the kids can be more than just what they were bred to be. They're bred to be soldiers. They're kind of aimless, living in this jungle planet. It's not until the crew comes there to be like, you can be more than just what you were bred to be. Even without the clones who have abandoned you, we will not abandon you. You guys can go on and have a brighter future. Again, the Bad Batch always coming through, saving the day internally and externally for all these people that they meet. And it was great. I really like that sentiment that the Bad Batch got here.
Yeah.
And in a way, I just thought about this. This could be seen as a win for Hunter, who was so much complaining about not being able to save Omega. He's able to save 3 children that are not his own. And I think that could be seen as a win for Hunter, who has been missing his own child in Omega since 6 months ago, basically half a year. Right. But they do get a reveal for Hemlock's new location, but it's just a sector of space. Not really pinpoint, but at least when I figured, like, okay, we got a sector of space. If they get a communication from Omega and Crosshair, they'll know they'll be in the vicinity. They will get that communication, whatever it was, buoy. Enter episode 3, Shadows of Tantus. But I mentioned earlier, episode 1 was like the solemn, reflective episode. Episode 2 was also sad, but also more of a horror action adventure episode. Episode 3 is peak, intense, edge of my seat, edge of my couch, basically. I'm like, let's go. I was losing it. This was great. This was amazing. The episode is called Shadows of Tantus here. And the Emperor is arriving. We get a quick shot. He's coming here again. Same joke, Nathan, twice in the same stream.
Yeah, and I'll do it again, bitch. Comedy or some shit.
And we get a quick shot of this new specialized clone. Nathan, it was like guarding something. It was like guarding the elevator. I don't know what it was. It was just a quick glance. It has like it was this clone. If people didn't miss it, like this clone is like crossing his arms. He's guarding like an elevator. But he has like a yellow. I think he's wearing dark blue or black armor. But he has like a yellow kind of leg, or at least a yellow plated leg.
Yeah.
Do you think this is tech, Nathan?
I didn't think about that.
It could be. It could just be another normal clone, like in Ahsoka. How we thought, like, oh, this could be an important person, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't really think much of anything in that regard.
Okay.
It was just like it's another person. But hey, maybe, because now I'm thinking about it, I've never seen a clone like that.
Never met a friend like me. Yeah.
I knew it. I fucking knew.
What? No, there's no way. There's no way about that.
I knew it.
There's no way.
Maybe I didn't specifically know you'd say it, but I thought about it, and then I guess I'm talking to you, so I imagine you saying.
Okay, I can do all the musical references, but then you and your MCU references. At least no Spider-Man quote yet today, which is great.
I'm sure I'll get you one.
Thank you. Anyways, is this tech? We don't know. But the routine of the blood centrifuge wheel continues in the next shot as like clink, clink, clink. It continues. This time, we see Omega wake up. Emery, we have a lot of work to do today. Same monotonous routine, but something's different this time. As and even this time, when they're passing through Crosshair, Crosshair doesn't look at her again. Very interesting. She goes to get her blood taken by Emery. She's like, "Hey, something's different. Something's in the air. Something in the air tonight." And thank you, Phil Collins to go. And
Oh, no.
Emery's and Emery's is Emery revealed the Emperor is coming, or somebody reveals the Emperor is coming?
No.
Or she just says like, "It didn't none of your business, Omega," something like that.
Yeah, and because she didn't know who was coming either. She was like, if it's important for them to tell me, then they'll tell me.
Yeah. Again, she's just living her Emery is just living her, routine scientist life, just chilling.
Her best
Chilling.
life.
Her best life. Is it her best life? Well, we don't know. So Nalase is needed by Hemlock. Hemlock comes in saying, "Nalase, it's time. I need you." She's like, "Fuck." When the boss comes to work and you got to go up there and show off in front of the boss, you're like, "Oh shit."
Fuck.
And she can't be there to destroy Omega's blood sample. And this is where things get interesting here. As Nalase basically is like, Omega, what? Run! Basically, it's time to go here. She says, Omega, today's the day, basically. Like, I'm paraphrasing. It's time to leave.
I really thought it would have been a thing of like, okay, get Omega to destroy her blood. Not,
Yeah.
hey, all right, that's it. Run!
Omega's like, oh shit,
Run!
And just imagine that feeling of like intensity. If you're Omega, you've been living there for 6 months, having hope of survival every day.
You're a child.
You're a child, but every day it's like, is it ever going to happen? I'm keep having this hope, but is it ever going to happen? Then that one day happens, the Emperor's coming, and all I say is like, it's time to go. And this is crazy. This was amazing. I was like, I stood up on my couch. I'm like, oh wait, right now? This episode, we're doing this now?
I really wasn't sure how things were going to proceed. What I was primarily thinking was like, okay, if Omega does make it out, only Omega's making it out, and we are going to be back to needing to circle back for Crosshair.
I was the opposite. I was like, so much of Crosshair being dejected, it was always going to be like in storytelling. It's always the one who's so like, I don't deserve this, to be the escapee while the savior is the one who's like, you know what, I'm going to do this for you because you need to change. I'm good. You can go. I'll sacrifice myself. And Omega has always been that sacrificial character, or at least like, she will never give up on her friends no matter the cost of her own life. Like in season 2, Hunter and Wrecker are taken, and she comes back no matter how hopeless it was, and she ends up getting captured. So it's like I fully thought Crosshair would leave, Omega would have to stay. Similar to what happened recently in the Godzilla Monarch season 1, where it's like Kimiko, or I forget her name, the mother didn't want to leave. She felt like I didn't deserve it. I don't deserve it. I can't live in the future. And it's not until Kurt Russell's like, go on. And he has to be the one to leave to stay behind, even though he wanted to be with her. So it's by the way, Monarch has not been officially renewed for season 2 yet. You're scaring me, Apple. Don't do this out. You gave 5 seasons of Slow Horses, 2 seasons of Severance, multiple seasons of other shows on Apple. What's taking too long for your
4 seasons of Servant, which I hear got ridiculous.
Servant with the M Night show? That got 4 seasons?
4 seasons.
It must have been cheap. But we know it was expensive, Godzilla, but it's like it was also very they had the highest premiere on Apple TV until Masters of the Air. So, you know, I need some more Monarch. Hopefully we get a renewal soon. I don't know when Apple's doing their upfront TV stuff.
Maybe they're waiting to see, I don't know, interest in the MonsterVerse after a new movie. I don't know.
They don't give a shit. But one could hope. You never know. Stop it.
Teasing Kong. See, like, the audience is still like Kong.
No, how did you still wait? So if it opens to 30 million, no more season 2, guys. What the fuck, man? It's gonna be a hit. It's gonna be a hit.
I want it to be. I want it to be. You know I want it. You know I want all of this shit. I'm fucking garbage for this.
Wow. Nice confidence boost there.
Look, I've been in this fight for 10 years. The MonsterVerse's 10-year anniversary is this year.
God damn. The Empire arrives. The Emperor arrives.
Who's coming here? In threes, baby. You knew this was coming, Pete. Oh, 1-2, got him. Stay down. Proceed.
I have a cram. This is bad. I'm too old for this shit. The Emperor arrives. God damn it. The Emperor arrives.
Glover ass.
Emperor arrives in RTJ style. Hemlock gets on his knees. I'm kidding. No. Hemlock.
Sorry, what?
He's like, sir, we can now test. You know, he's fully like flaunting the capabilities of their cloning project, saying we can now test larger specimens. This is why I alluded to the Zelo Beast earlier in the discussion here, because the Zelo Beast could also be that larger specimen that they want to clone as well. We always did wonder, what do they want with the Zelo Beast in terms of a specimen, in terms of a test subject. I'm theorizing here it could come back around this season.
True. I think just thinking back to the initial Clone Wars introduction to Zelo Beast, I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow, you're right. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like the intrigue was the fact that the armor skin of the Zelo Beast is impervious to almost anything, even lightsabers.
Yeah, it's true. And then even at the end of the episode, Palpatine was like, you know, I want it. I want it. Yeah, I said the end of the episode. I mean, the end of the Zelo Beast episode in the Clone Wars, Palpatine was like, a shot of Palpatine was like, I really want that beast again, or like, I want, you know, keep me informed about what happens to it. And then we got to season 2 of the Bad Batch, and we're like, oh, he still really wants it. Interesting. So, you know, I just theorized we could see the Zelo Beast, or at least that clone that survived in season 3 once again. Sidious says, I'm only concerned with Project Necromancer, which we alluded to again. This being the same Project Necromancer that was first signified in Mando season 3 during the Shadow Council between Moff Gideon and the other survivors of the Battle of Jakku. They're all like, the main importance here needs to be Project Necromancer. And I thought like that means the continuation of the Empire, basically the revival of the Empire. But now we know it's the revival of the Emperor, which was also a very famous theory, of course, as well. And how he says it's pivotal to the future and survival of the Empire, which is always funny. You know, Sidious is always about like, you know, he's always been anti-rule of 2, basically. Where he's always about like, rule of 2 is always like, you know, kill the person, you know, you train somebody, they eventually will succeed you, and then they train somebody else, they'll eventually succeed you, etc., etc. Palpatine's fuck that. He wants to live forever and ever and ever, no matter what. He never had any envision of Vader killing him. Or none of the Sith really do. They never really want their people, their trainees to kill them, but there's always supposed to be 2. And I think for Palpatine, he wouldn't mind if it was just 1, if he was the only one surviving. He wants to be the future, the hope, the justice, security of his new empire. But Omega, we cut back to Omega. She's talking to Emery. She's not very sly with it at all. But she takes the data pad away from Emery, as Emery continues to fulfill Nalase's work here.
That was funny. She went to go grab it, and Emery was just like, "Hey, I got it. You can go."
You can go.
Like, okay, and then Mega's like,
Yeah. She's like, you can go, Omega. How about you just
"I'm
go
like,
home and
oh
rest?
my god, Omega, grab it."
Omega was so slow with it too, and she's like, just go home and rest. I think you just need to go home and rest. I'm like, okay. And Omega just takes it and runs, basically. There's a scene where after she runs, she kicks the mouse droid out of the elevator, which was hilarious.
I died.
That was great. Like, get
And
the
now
fuck
once
out of
again,
here.
as I said in our commentary, I'm like, damn, asteroids got big.
Yeah, they are big, and you can never trust a mouse droid ever since I forget what show it was, Rebels or something. Like mouse droids always like tell on people. Like you never trust them. Anyways, Crosshair is still tired, exhausted, dejected, and he gets even more exasperated when he realizes that Omega has no plan to escape. But she tells him now's the time, and Crosshair doesn't really object.
So here's the point,
Yeah.
right? Of the episode. As soon as Omega opened Crosshair's cell, I'm jumping out of my seat. I'm bouncing around. I'm like, oh my god, we're fucking. Let's go. Let's go. It's happening.
It was incredible. I was like, oh shit. I thought he was gonna be so like, I'm not doing this. Get away from me. But he sticks with her. And he gets even more pissed off when he realizes, like, why today? Like, where is everybody basically? And she's like, oh yeah, the Emperor's here. He's like, wait, what? The Emperor?
You couldn't have picked a worse day.
Exactly.
Obviously, there was no choice.
And also, I love the whole classic escape attempt where he's like, I'm going to break out of this cell. I'm going to take your gun. They're like, huh, how are you going to do that? And then, of course, he does it anyways.
You in what army?
Yeah. These two hands, and he beats him up. And I just love that, joke in all movies and escape stuff where it's like, it happens in Equalizer all the time. In 9 seconds, I'm going to grab this gun. I'm going to beat you up to see what happens. They're like, what? In 9 seconds? What? And then Denzel was like, click, and it's a wrap.
Every time. So cool.
It's great. Equalizer 3 was so good, by the way. Saw it like twice or 3 times now.
Solid trilogy then?
Solid trilogy, even though unfortunately for Pedro, his movie was the weakest.
Pedro's in one of them?
2. Yeah. Not a good guy in 2.
I kept getting ads for stars for a clip of Equalizer 2 on my socials.
I wish they didn't reveal everything in the trailer, by the way. Or at least the first act.
Every single time I'm seeing Denzel, you gonna ask me if she got home okay? No, she didn't. They're pumping her stomach as we speak. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna give me all your cell phones.
That's amazing.
Denzel's great though.
So where was I at? So yeah, I thought they were gonna take the Emperor's ship because after they escaped, they're like, okay, the Emperor's here. And I'm like, and they're like, but he came on his ship. I'm like, no, oh my god, there's no way you're taking the Emperor's shuttle.
No shot.
No shot here.
At the same time, I'm like, here we go.
It's also the Bad Batch. They've done crazier. But quickly, she's like, no, I want to go find the abandoned shuttle that we saw at the beginning of episode 1 here. That way, we can hopefully, if it's still powered up, we can still find a way to escape, or at the very least, communicate with Hunter and tell them where we are. I'm like, okay, sounds like a solid plan. I like the connection to episode 1. That was great. Emery figured this out, basically, is like, Omega is not here, and she corners them in the kennels when trying to escape. I was curious. I was like, what is she going to do here? This was also me again. I'm like watching every single breath that Emery takes. I'm like, okay, she realizes Omega is not there. What will you decide? She comes in, she decides to say, you're doing the wrong thing. Go back. I can make this look like an accident or whatever. I can make this go away. And we act like this never happened. Again, she's not trying to get them in trouble. That's one sign. But she's also very much against them escaping, which is also not good. So it's like, it's very interesting. I'm like, what side are you on, Emery? But then, unfortunately, she does get stunned by Crosshair. And then she gets woken up by Hemlock later on in the episode. But anyways, she gets woken up by Hemlock quickly afterwards, after he says goodbye to the Emperor. They do goodbye hugs together, like "See you later, Emperor. See you later, man." I'm kidding. That's a different episode.
Please, Dad, can I have a job?
Yeah, can I keep my job? Oh yeah, it was very funny. Hemlock is talking, and he was like, I really, with this progress, I really hope I can become like the lead science officer or whatever. And Sidious is like,
I can unveil the untapped glory
yeah.
of science.
With my new position, I can untap glory. And Sidious is like, yeah, sure. I'll elevate your status, whatever. Sidious gives no fuck about his status or Hemlock's status. He's like, anyways, Project Necromancer, stick with that. I'll give you a pay raise later, basically.
hit that breakthrough, and we'll talk.
We'll talk. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those funny things where you can tell Hemlock was like quickly like, I could do this, that, and the third, and Stadius is just like, okay, I really don't care. I'm heading home to sleep. And by the way, I mentioned this to Jay, and I'm like, I like how we're in season 3 right now, and we have no sniff of Vader. Vader during this time period is very fascinating. Early stages of the Empire, still getting used to his suit, killing off still a few Jedi. Sidious is still testing him. If you're really curious to see what Vader's doing during this exact time period, read once again the 2017-2018 Darth Vader run. It's fantastic. And the Inquisitorius is still in full bloom as well, developing as well at this point. We could see Vader in a future episode. I doubt it, though. I like how the Bad Batch is focusing on the Emperor more so than Vader. But Hemlock wakes up. Emery quickly sets the hounds after them. When they're running, Crosshair picks up Omega when she trips over. What happened to Mr. I'll leave you behind if the choice happens? Like, it didn't happen.
I know what you are.
You know what you are, Crosshair. You're a sweet guy, dude. And Crosshair basically picks up Omega. They get to the ship, and unfortunately, it's completely dead. There's no way to communicate to Hunter, and there's no way to get on the ship to pilot it. And this is fascinating. This is when Omega kind of loses hope. She's been so hopeful for so long. She's starting to lose hope. She's starting to lose hope now. And Crosshair has to be the one to be like, "You were trained by the Bad Batch, right?" She's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you know Plan 72? And she's like, "Well, yeah, tell me all the
maybe memorize all of them."
I'm like,
of course he did.
Of course he did. Yeah. And I love Plan 72.
Does Crosshair know?
Oh, you're right.
I didn't think about it, man. Wait.
Did she tell him? Wow. I think you can assume during their discussion.
They would show it. I think they would.
You think so? They will show it? You think they will show it?
Yeah. That's a pivotal bomb drop.
I'll just say I think he already knows, but they'll talk about it again when they reunite. It'll be brought up again at least. It'll be like, now we're a squad of 3, and Crosshair be like,
they might be reunited, and he might just glance over at the goggles.
Fuck you, Nathan. That'd be dark. That'd be deep.
This show is dark. It can be.
So, they make their way out. They basically, again, Plan 72 is basically steal the ship or steal whatever. Steal the ship of your pursuers. The clones go after them. They steal the ship. They're on their way. They quickly get shot at by the defense lasers from Tantus. They're smoking. They're in danger of getting caught. The V-wings are on the tail, and the centrifuge continues, and Omega's thing shines yellow. And this is interesting because Emery, after having been woken up, is back to being at the lab again, doing her shit. And she realizes this, and she runs to Hemlock to say, "Call off the troops. We need them alive." At this point, Hemlock is pissed off at Omega and Crosshair. Basically, just is like, "I'm tired of it. I want them dead," basically. Yeah. And Hemlock has to cool his jets because Omega's like, "No, keep her alive because the M count transfer or the capabilities of her M count, not her M count, but like she says here, her M count would yield no degradation from specimen clone copies." And she says that to Hemlock. He's like, "Oh, fuck. Call them off. And they called them off. and they get to hyperspace, and Omega and Crosshair are successfully out of there in episode 3, which was crazy to me. I did not see that coming.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting turn, because I really thought we were going to spend a good chunk of the season before they broke out and we get closer to the bats being reunited. It'd probably be a couple episodes before we get a full reunion between everybody. But this is a compelling turn of events where we're going to be constantly pursued by the Empire because Hemlock needs Omega more than ever to actually reach what he needs for the Emperor. So and he has all these resources now. So it's no hold.
Oh, that's a good point, because again, what I mentioned earlier with Hemlock like continuing to talk up to the Emperor. Emperor's like, I'll give you whatever you want as long as you continue Project Necromancer. So he has even more resources after this Emperor visit. Yeah.
Yeah. And also when they were going to hijack the shuttle, it was at the point where they successfully did it, and both of them, or at least like, it was about to be, Crosshair was about to jump on board, and I'm like, if he makes it on, I will know I can be 100% safe that they're gonna make it.
That's good. And then we also got Batcher. I forgot Batcher's part of the crew now. He survived, and Batcher stays with the crew. That was amazing.
As soon as Omega was nice to Batcher in the kennel, I was like, oh, we got a new pet.
We got a new pet, which is great. Is Batcher and Gonky? That can be a fun dynamic.
Yeah.
But then, so this was interesting here. He says they have every force at my disposal. He's captured her. He will capture her again, he says. And we already know from the trailer, Fennec Shan's back. Cad Bane's coming back. Asajj Ventress is coming back. Like, all 3 of these could be after Omega now. This can be very exciting for the future of season 3. But just last question here. What can Omega's blood do for the Emperor? We kind of alluded to it again. But once again, a positive M count transfer was seen from Omega. We don't know why. Is Omega force sensitive? Possibly. Maybe not. But does she have like a high M count? We know her blood allows for a positive M count transfer, not a negative one. So does she have midichlorians? Does she not? You never know.
If I were to guess, and don't quote me on this, I'm not a scientist.
We are streaming live, so I will.
Not a major in cloning, but when we break it down, usually it was most regard Boba and Omega as being like one of the like OG era of clones, right?
Yep, the Omega and Alpha, yeah.
So you can presume that all these efforts have been trying to adapt a successful cloning strain off of already existing clones, right? So you're just trying to make copies, where if you go to one of the original sources, you probably have a stronger strength in the DNA you're trying to forge.
That's a good point. That kind of reminds me then, alluding to that point you made, good point. Could Boba Fett be involved in this season? And would his blood allude to something similar here as well? You never know. Maybe. And
With DJ?
Yeah. Maybe. Love DJ. We support DJ here. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what Omega's thing here is. How deeper are they going to get with the specimens? Will we get a reveal of these specimens? That's very interesting to me. I'm very curious to see what we get from these M counts and from Project Necromancer. How much further will we see from this? We do see more Palpatine from the trailer, I think, where he's in the Senate. Or maybe I'm confusing with season 2 trailer. But did we see everything that we saw from the Emperor in the trailer in these episodes? Maybe. But I think we'll see the Emperor again, obviously. So I'm just very curious what we see next. But my thing is, on a character level, when word gets out, why Emery and Hemlock want Omega, why she is so pivotal for the future of the Empire, How is that going to weigh on Omega? The reason the Bad Batch can't find peace anymore, the reason they're going to be sought after throughout this entire season is going to be because of Omega. She's going to have this big weight of guilt placed upon her. If anything bad happens, she already lost Tech. She could feel like after his loss, like if they're going to keep coming after us and I can lose Wrecker, Hunter, Echo, Crosshair because they need me, then I'll just turn myself in. I can see that definitely happening later on this season. Omega's arc is going to be very interesting to follow. I'm still very curious about Emery's arc and Crosshair's arc. Now, Crosshair's in an interesting place now. He's back with the crew. How is that reunion going to be like? They haven't seen each other since season 1. So that's going to be very fun to follow.
I think I think Crosshair is going to be a bit less antagonistic because of his guilt. And in regards to the overarching journey, I think we could get a thing where Omega does step up to be the one to confront Hemlock in the grand scheme of things. And
Ooh, I like that.
It could be through there that Emery finally lends a helping hand and the two of them can 1-2 and take out Hemlock.
Hemlock's so dead by the end of the series, right?
Oh.
So dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's so dead.
I'm excited to see how.
Are we going to get a Sidious Vader situation where Emery sacrifices herself to kill Hemlock? I don't want that, but...
Are we going to get a Jedi game jump scare of Vader?
No.
I could...
Oh, yeah, you never know.
I guess I could probably... I wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead and had a Vader pop up in something. They have the model from the end of Clone Wars.
Yeah. But I hope Emery survives, and I hope she can be the big sister that Omega have always wanted. Because it's great to be around dudes, but you can't hang around dudes your whole life. You need some kind of variety there. That's why I think she's going to be so close to Asajj, or that's why she was so close to Sid and Fee. Like she needs a mother/sister figure in her life. And I think that'll be great. Oh, by the way, we will be seeing Sid again this season. I do think that Sid might be on. Exactly. She might be on a big redemption tour, and she's going to need it because I hate her right now. But yeah, before I go, I want to quickly mention The Acolyte, Nathan, which I think will be the best Star Wars show yet in live action and animation. That's high praise. I know. Andor came out 2 years ago, which is crazy now, or a year and a half now. I think Acolyte can be the best show ever, and we finally have a release date. Previously, it was coming out in the summer. Now we get an official one from Collider. Not official, at least, from Star Wars yet, but the rumor is June 5th for The Acolyte. Starring, of course, Matrix's
Carrie Ann Moss.
Amanda Stenberg playing possibly the Sith Acolyte. Daphne Keene, Charlie from Leslie Hedlund's other show, Russian Doll.
Jonas
is back playing a different character, a new Jedi character, Jedi Wookiee character. Yeah,
that's so cool. I love that so much.
Me too, man. I cannot wait. Vanessa Rowe is coming back. Vanessa Rowe is a pivotal character to the High Republic. Vanessa Rowe's next book actually comes out March 6th, called Defy the Storm, the first middle grade novel of Phase 3 of the High Republic. So I'm very curious about that. I think, again, June 5th, that's going to be very exciting. So Bad Batch ends May 4th, May 1st. Let me look at the schedule here. Bad Batch will end on May 1st with episode 315, the series finale. One episode only, which is very different. Usually the season ends with multiple episodes, but this one just ends with one episode, the series finale. It might be longer than the rest, though. You never know. Okay. Well, other news. Annie Awards came out. Annie Awards are animation awards, basically the Oscars for Annie's, or the Oscars for animation projects. Across the Spider-Verse won out with 7 awards. But by the way, a movie that won the Annie and was Oscar nominated has not lost the Oscar for Best Animated Picture in a couple years now. this could have led to Spider-Verse winning Best Animated Project or Film, but also Boy and the Heron won at the BAFTAs, won at the Golden Globes. You never know. Boy and the Heron could win Best Animated over Across the Spider-Verse. I still have the Across the Spider-Verse winning because I think, I don't know if the international contingent is that strong at the Academy just yet. But you never know. If Boy and the Heron wins, then we have to really take a look at the international contingent at the Academy because they might be more, influential than we think. But I think Across the Spider-Verse is going to win. But it's a lot closer than I thought. I thought it would be a runaway race with Across the Spider-Verse, but you never know. Anyways, I bring up Annie Awards because Screech's Reach, one of my favorite episodes, of Star Wars Vision, won for Best Direction on an animated short film, which is great. I think the direction in Screech's Reach is phenomenal, especially the sequence in the cave sequence and the way they shot the ending as well, with the showcasing each of the child's different expressions as the child begins to leave. It was very interesting seeing how one sad, hopeful turns to sad. It's peak. I love Screech's Reach. Also, Owl's Song won for Best Music in the same category, animated short. Owl's Song was the finale of season 2. And that's it. Yeah. Man, Bad Batch is back. We're back. I think we should be doing every other episode, by the way.
Okay.
Next week, we get one episode, but we haven't done T since the finale of Percy Jackson. And my T notes are skyrocketing. I have a lot just to tease. I think we should do T next week. Just to tease the Batman Beyond concept art. I really want to talk about that because I think that's very fascinating, very interesting. Spider-Verse, Sony, Sump, whatever you want to call it, situation is very interesting. Nicolas Cage's series is moving up. Unfortunately, Silk is moving down. Gareth Edwards is now doing Jurassic Park.
Right.
Marvel officially, not officially, but according to THR, has removed King Dynasty title from Avengers 5. They're doing a rehaul. They got new writers for Fantastic Four, new writer on Blade, and Thunderbolts is reshooting as we speak. So Marvel is retooling currently. And Tom Cruise is working with Tarantino and Inarritu, which is very fascinating. Inarritu, who one of the rare directors who won, did he win? Best Director 2 years in a row from Birdman, followed by The Revenant.
Right.
Have you seen either of those movies, Nathan? Birdman or Revenant? Yeah.
I've seen them both.
Yep. I loved Birdman. I remember it was 2014. Yeah. I gotta go. But it was 2014, and I showed my parents Birdman on leading up to the Oscars, and they hated it. But I loved it. And it was one of those like, Evan, you're not picking the movie anymore. I'm like, but it was great. It was great. I loved Birdman.
I watched Birdman, you're not like, oh my God, they haven't cut yet.
It was so good. Now I was only like 20. I was only like 18. But I really appreciated what Birdman was. And Revenant was one of the best like Christmas movies I saw because I saw that on Christmas Day with my dad. And it was great.
A haunting score.
Fantastic performance from Bane himself. What's his name? Tom Hardy. I love that movie. But yeah, so I think we should do a T, and then we'll bring back Kung Fu Panda next week as well. Nice. But anyways, that's enough teasing for next week. Find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9, where I'll be shortly watching Frieren, which is one of the best anime I've seen in years. Frieren is a fantastic anime. And I'll be watching the first episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm excited for it, no matter what the internet tries to say. Anyways,
around every corner, I'm like, fucking.
It's ridiculous.
I'm
the same way. I'm scrolling. I'm like, do you guys not know what an adaptation is? If you want to watch, just watch the TV show. Just watch the cartoon.
Everyone keeps quadrupling down on like, maybe we were too harsh on M. Night. And I love M. Night. But stop it.
Stop it. Stop it. God, I hate it too.
I do think the fake Onion article was funny. It was like a quote from M. Night. It was like, haha, not so easy, is it, fuckers?
Yeah. And it's not easy. I still think it's very hard to do a show like Avatar in live action. That being said, I'm excited to see what they try to do here with the show. Because the people that I trust, like the friends at least, like the Raylo community. They like certain aspects of the things that I think I will like as well in terms of character, not what the show looks like. The bending looks slow and stupid. Okay, it's live action. I know it is. It's gonna look weird. Anyways,
how much they're bending their back over ragging on it when we also know we have future original Avatar to look forward to.
Just wait for that. Be positive about that. Being negative, like, oh, this is dipshit. And if you don't like it, that's fair. But give me a good reason for why you don't like it. A lot of people are giving me bad reasons. I've seen some fair criticism, but mostly, it's Twitter, and I see bad faith criticism as well.
Yeah.
But again, my Twitter is Harris EV9.
Is that one show?
I know. Twitter is Harris EV9. So I'll be talking about everything on there if you want to see what I'm up to. Nathan, what's going on?
I follow me _Time Blazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-starring Crib, Salt, and Evan Harris.
Playing Ben, best damn lawyer in Time Blazer City. That's a new city I just come up with.
It's still Jacksonville.
Oh, great.
That being said, I hope you guys have a great day. We'll catch you guys next time. May the force be with you always.